Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters, viewers, friends of Vikra TV. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host, Iqbal Bana. I'm glad to be in your living rooms trying to bring to you issues of interest that affects the Muslim community on a day-to-day basis. Today, I want to talk about the British Muslim Trust, which has been established by the government just a few weeks ago, what its role and responsibilities are, and what people think about this new organization that has been established, particularly to monitor anti-Muslim hate crime. And it's a follow-up to the Tel Mama organization that was set up many years ago, which initially I was involved with to a certain extent, but over the years, a lot of people lost faith in Tel Mama because of some of the activities that they were engaged in, or was also accusations of not representing the community at grassroots level. But before I do that, and I have two very eminent guests with me, both of them are very familiar to you, and as soon as you see them on the screen, you will know who they are. They're very eminent. They don't need much introduction, but I'll introduce them anyway. Maqsood Ahmed, former advisor to the Home Secretary on Equality and Diversity, has worked across a number of organizations at central government level, and he now runs the Hope Academy and was the former chief executive of the Muslim Heritage Trust Centre in Manchester, which, as I keep saying to people, particularly parents, I think every parent should take the child and visit that centre. It's got some amazing stuff there, particularly about Islamic history as well. Sat next to him is again a main hero, one of my main heroes of Bradford, and that is Ishtiaq Ahmed, former chief executive of the Kismet Centre and also the British Bradford Council of Mosque. And prior to that, worked with the Race Equality Council in Bradford, one of the most preeminent organizations around race equality in the 70s, 80s and 90s. But before I go into the main subject, can I just reflect on a very sad loss that the people of Batley and the country and the world suffered last week at the passing away of Mufti Musa Badad Sahab, one of the most preeminent muftis in the country and the world, a man who was of great integrity, who was simple, very simple, down to earth, one of the most humble persons I've ever come across in my life, a man whose counsel was sought by many people, not just in Batley and the United Kingdom, but across the world as well. His loss after 40 years of service in one institution in Masjid in Batley was a huge shock to the whole Muslim world, and particularly the people of Batley. His demise is a great loss, not just for the community of Taylor Street, where he was Imam for over 40 years, but as I say, for the community and for his family as well. May Allah give him the highest resting place in Jannah, and may his family also have sabr and strength at these very difficult and challenging times. And inshallah, one day we might do a program on him, and also Pir Maruf Sahab, who passed away a few months ago in Bradford. And I've got the gentleman here with me who's actually written a book on the life of Pir Maruf Sahab. So inshallah, Ishtiaq, one day I'd like to welcome you here to talk about Pir Maruf Sahab and his contribution to Islam in this country. But thank you for coming. Maqsood, thank you for coming all over the Penais.
Pleasure.
We don't ask for passport identities halfway down here. So
not yet.
Crossing the yet. The way things are going with reform, you never know, we might be doing that as well. Ishtiaq, welcome. Thank you for joining me as well. Both of you are very regulars. Now, this new organization which has been set up by the government, the British Muslim Trust, I mean, there's very little information about it. I mean, I think 90% of the Muslim community are probably unaware of it. Were you aware of it is being established? Maqsood, I mean, you worked in the highest level of government in the past.
I knew that there'll be an organization being set up because of Tel Mama. They were having some challenges. But as far as consultation or involvement is concerned, I personally wasn't aware of it within Greater Manchester. I'm sure they've done consultation around the country, but I wasn't aware of it.
Well, you're one of the foremost activists around equality and diversity and inclusion in the Greater Manchester area, but you're saying you weren't aware of it.
I personally wasn't,
yes.
In a sense, from that side. But there's always ways of consulting people. Depending on there's different types of consultation, and one of the dangers of consultation is that you don't really consult with the issues of people who are conscious and aware of something. So you go down to people who actually want to talk about different issues than policy and development and other areas. So you can skew the consultation depending on which way you want to go. I think the consultation in future, if the government does want to take them, they should be involving not only grassroots people, which we should do, but also people that are actually conscious and aware of the issues because of their experience and history and so forth, to get a good balance.
I mean, obviously, this is ostensibly the main purpose of this new group, which has been sort of established in partnership with the Randeri Foundation and the Aziz Foundation, Randeri Trust and the Aziz Foundation. And Akil Ahmed, one of my former colleagues on the Anti-Muslim Hate Crime Advisory Group, is the chief executive of it. I mean, it is, as I say, to actually primarily capture data around anti-Muslim hate crime. Ishtiaq, as I said, you were in the Race Equality Council in the 80s and 90s. That's when I got to know you and had a lot of respect for you. And then subsequently, you've done a lot of work around inclusion and community cohesion in Bradford. And you're still involved in that, as Maqsood is in the Greater Manchester area. Were you aware, or were you consulted, or was your advice and guidance sought? Whether, because I've been told that there was wide consultations across the country when they were establishing this new British Muslim Trust or Institute.
I was not aware.
Right.
I have tried to become aware since I was invited onto this program.
Right.
Very little information
Right.
as to why this trust was set up, by who it was set up, who are the people actually. A bit of research actually said to kind of how that this seems to be a trust of millionaires.
Oh yes.
And since I'm not a millionaire,
We definitely
I
won't
don't
be
understand.
Not millionaires, billionaires. Sorry.
Okay, billionaires.
They're
There's
billionaires.
trust of billionaires, which even makes it more interesting. The fact that I was not consulted, because I come nowhere near being a billionaire or a millionaire, and this is supposed to be. People tell me that this is supposed to be about grassroots. It's supposed to be about collection of data on crimes of hate against Muslims. It's supposed to be working with the grassroots communities. But if you look at the people who are actually behind the motivation, I have an innate distrust
Right.
of anything that the government sets up
Right.
for and on behalf of the communities.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, this seems to be another of those initiatives. I think the reasons behind it are political. I think this is a kind of almost a reaction to Tell Mama organization, and it's another buffer, I think, between the government and the Muslim community. And basically, what the government is saying, look, we are going to talk to you, we are going to talk to you on our terms, and we are going to talk to you from a distance.
Right.
And I think that is not a way forward.
I mean, we've got organizations like the MCB, for example, as well. You've been very actively involved with the MCB in the past. And even they have been sort of sidelined, I suppose, in a way, and other Muslim organizations. However, quite a number of politicians, including the MP for Manchester, Afzal Khan, and Baroness Saeed Awasi, and I've read today, they're both complimenting the government on establishing this group, and both saying that they look forward to what this group is going to be doing.
Well, they would, because the people who are actually fronting this and leading this, they actually fall into in their league.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's question of actually who stands by me, and who do I wish to stand by.
Right.
And so you expect that certain people in our community who move in and out of what I call the offices and the government kind of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
That is where their bread and butter is. Okay, so they want to be seen to be actually supporting the government. They want to be seen to be aligning. My question still remains: if it is about us, and us being grassroots,
Yeah.
okay, the average ordinary Muslim men and women and young people, they know nothing about it.
And that's the reason why I asked you both here, because obviously this institution, this new organization which has been set up, the government probably sees that as the main consulting body when dealing with Islam, issues around Islam and Muslims. And if people like you who are sort of embedded in communities, and I know both of you very, very well, you have your fingers on the pie in your own communities. And when local authorities are looking for advice and guidance, particularly when there are challenges in communities, they come to you and ask you about the way forward. And obviously I thought maybe because of your positions and your reputations that you may have been consulted. That's why I wanted to know whether you have or not. Maqsood, obviously in your area, Rochdale, there's been huge challenges around grooming, etc., for example, disconnecting with young people, with institutions, and you've done a lot of work with the police and the local authority. And you still were not aware of what this setup was all about.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm not saying every one person should be involved and consulted in a sense. But if you look at the terms of references, and I had a quick glance at them before I came onto the program, if you look at the terms of references, sadly for me, it's very limited. What the government's done is saying, we want an organization to monitor Islamophobia or anti-Muslimism, whatever we want to call it, because the government hasn't even made its mind up whether should they adopt Islamophobia definition or anti-Muslim definition, and that's been going on for 15, 16 years now, I think. We had an all-party committee set up to look at that in a sense on it. So they can't even define Islamophobia or anti-Muslimness. I think the terms of reference are very limited. They're limited because all it's doing is monitoring. Muslims don't want just to be monitored, the attacks that we're facing. We get this all the time. All you have to do is look at social media. Only yesterday, the word Pakis come back again. And we had this issue in the 70s and the 80s. Pakis go home and so forth and things like that. That's come back again on the bus shelters. This mosque's been attacked because of the asylum seekers and travelers. So any excuse that people get, the racists get, we brought in. Islam is being brought in to that. So I wonder sometimes, the issue isn't just about monitoring the attacks on us and the hatred against us. The issue for me is about saying, where is this hatred coming from? And if you don't have that in the terms of references to say, what causes this issue? What causes this tension? And then I'm afraid we can't get away from the politicians who make these derogatory remarks on a regular basis. So I would like an organization to look at what causes this tension, and politicians, and extreme right-wing politicians that we have now are a driving force for some of this hatred. Absolutely. Then we've got the media, it's a driving force, this hatred. So if you look at this and the influence of billionaires on our politicians and policy, it's a driving force for this cause. So if you're not covering those issues in the terms of references, it becomes meaningless. For me, it's not about just monitoring and saying in Greater Manchester we gain 65,000 attacks over 5 years. So what?
It's the underlying factors, isn't it?
It's what causing this over the years.
I know Ishtiaq and them worked very, very hard on the definition of Islamophobia. And actually you managed to get the council to adopt it, didn't you?
Yes.
And you forwarded that definition to the government as well. But I'm not sure what came back to. I mean, this issue that we're talking about today, the establishment of the British Muslim Trust, is going to affect the Muslim community every day in their day-to-day lives, and particularly Muslim institutions and organizations. Now, obviously, your organization that you're chief executive of, the Bradford Council of Mosques, was, and in my view still is, one of the most preeminent Muslim organizations in the whole of the country. And do you know whether they were either consulted, their views were asked, or not?
I'm not aware of any significant organization in Bradford that was consulted. I still have a very close association with most of frontline community organizations, community centers, advice centers. I was some years back responsible for setting up Bradford Alliance Against Hatred. I spoke to someone very senior in that network before coming on this program. He wasn't really aware.
All right.
He's not very aware. See, for me, when people are actually attacked, insulted, harassed, intimidated, who do they go to? They will come to the kind of organizations that myself and Maqsood are actually involved in, frontline organizations, community-based, where people normally go for help and advice, something. They are not going to go to British Muslim Trust. Yeah. So for me, I'm really interested in knowing how they're going to roll out even the data collection and the monitoring at grassroots level. Which organization they'll be working, who's going to be part of the network, what are the system, what would be the system, what would be procedures and policies. And once you collected that data, what are you going to do with it?
What's going to happen with it?
Yeah, what's going to happen with it? Now, I know Lord Khan said that this is going to impact on government policy and it's going to be change things there. But we are talking about government who has, for the last almost 2 years, been supporting and endorsing genocide in Gaza,
Absolutely.
the hatred against Muslims by far rights, the violence against Muslims we've seen on the streets of Bradford. And this government is still debating and discussing what its response should be. So there's question of, there's a deficit of trust. And can we actually trust a Quango that's been set up by the government, which is about Muslims, which is about what is happening to us on at the street level, in terms of intimidation, harasses our mothers and sisters and brothers and fathers who are actually being attacked and being intimidated. And we are saying no system, no institution that does not actually relate to us, we are saying that we are not interested. Yeah? And so I think the British Muslim Trust has a lot of work to do. Is to reach out, is to galvanize the community, is to engage with the community, is to really listen to the real players at a grassroots level and take the Muslim community's concerns on board. This is not about Keir Starmer, this is not about Lord Khan, this is not about Aziz, this is not about Shabir. It's about us.
Exactly.
It's about, they are the millionaires. They can live in the Ritz and be protected. Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to live in very neighborhoods and very streets where we.
And we've seen this over the last few weeks getting even worse.
Yeah, and it's not just about reinventing a wheel. My fear is that we're reinventing a wheel again, so we'll go on for another 10 years. We already have enough data. We already have enough stats on us. We must be the most monitored group ever, in a sense, on it, with regards to that. So my plea would be is for the new trust to say, we know that racism and Islam, including Islamophobia, is very high in the United Kingdom. Now, what are we going to do about that? Their first role is to actually collect that data from Tel Mama and the others, because they've already done this work. It's already there. So the issue for me is about saying, okay, it is high. We are the most likely group to be attacked racially than any other group. Hindus, Sikhs and others and put together. Even the Jewish community, that's getting attacked because of issues around Israel. I'm not saying that's right, that's not wrong, that's wrong in a sense on it. They need to be protected, just like we need to be protected. But we are the only community that the stats have shown
we're in the headlights
all the time. So what will they do with the existing data that we already have? For God's sake, we don't want another monitoring group or a trust. We are fed up with that, or I'm fed up with that, and people I speak to are fed up with that. Don't tell us what we already know. Do something practical about it, so you can support the people.
So can I just ask you? I mean, just taking that line forward, and partly goes to what Ishtiaq said. You got a lot of history there. of
Huge
fighting
history.
injustice between the
Absolutely.
two of you and many others. What actually would you like to see the government say to this organization? This is what we want from you, and what would you expect the organization to do? We're going to go for a break. This is a really interesting debate, and as I say, everyone's going to be affected, whether you like it or not. And there are a number of layers here. You know, Ishtiaq mentioned what is happening in Palestine, in Gaza, and the silence, and in terms of the government's action against it, or taking appropriate action to protect the people of Gaza, who are now suffering huge genocide, as even the UN has now declared it as a genocide, and starvation which is going on over there. So we're coming back to this discussion in a while. If you want to talk, if you want to share some of your thoughts as well, the phone number is 01274 214 299, because this issue is going to affect us on a day-to-day basis. So Ishtiaq, just coming back to you, you were saying that even the Hate Crime Alliance in Bradford was not aware of it, and some of the other institutions are not aware of it. And I suppose, Maqsood, you probably have the same thoughts as well, when you've spoken to some people as well. So do you think there's I'm sure, I don't want to make it a leading question, but the government will say, we're trying to do our best, but who do we go to? We need some data in order to work on policy. Right. Go on.
We're talking about government.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long have we, Muslims, been saying and complaining about harassment, hate, and intimidation? Decades.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the governments and politicians who can't even agree a definition on Islamophobia which actually reflects and relates to people. How difficult it is to actually come to a consensus on what Islamophobia, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to ask you to hold that thought, because we're now going to a break at a very crucial time. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go for a break. Inshallah, we'll be coming back soon. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.